Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean. Welcome to my channel where I help people to navigate their spiritual awakening so they can embark on a conscious path of ascension. You've heard about the Great Awakening. Now it's time for that awakening to expand. The Great Cosmic Awakening has begun. And this, my friends, is the real deal. Now, the Great Awakening that we are all so familiar with is specific to events here on this planet Earth. It is an absolutely essential part of our overall awakening and ascension because it allows us to see the extent of the mass corruption that has engulfed our planet for years. It allows us to see the massive lies that we've been told about our so-called reality. But as we go deeper into our global crisis, we can start to see that just being more spiritual is not going to be enough. We can also hopefully see that physically fighting against what is going on is not going to work either. I mean, we obviously live in a well-developed slave system, and the slaves are extremely well controlled. There can no longer be any doubt about that when you observe the recent events on this planet and how effortlessly most of us are willing to comply with anything, no matter how insane. So if we limit our thinking to only that which we can perceive with our 5 physical senses, we are sure to end up in a state of hopelessness and despair. Because guys, the powers that be are not done with us yet. As a civilization and a global society of humans, we are literally being suffocated. Do not underestimate the symbolism of the required mask in this regard. The immense pressure that we are under right now is going to force us to wake up at levels we never imagined. Because you see, you guys, someone has overplayed their hand. And honestly, that hand has been overplayed out of sheer desperation. What you are seeing now play out before you is a desperate act to hold on to the power of control over our species that has been going on for many thousands of years. Because you see, that power is going to slip away. Ascension is more powerful than the forces that have sought to keep us under control in a cosmic system of slavery so that our souls and our life force energy can be used for multiple nefarious purposes. Now, this video is not going to be for everyone because I'm going to say things that are probably going to shock you. So if you are of a delicate nature and you would prefer to keep your eyes closed, then I highly recommend that you turn this video off immediately. This message is for warriors of the light. And you guys know who you are, right? You are starseeds, lightworkers, and way showers. You are people undergoing a spiritual awakening who want to wake up all the way at a cosmic level of consciousness. And you are essentially people who have just had enough. I mean, you're just done with all this stuff. And I have a feeling that you know exactly what that means. So now we enter the Great Cosmic Awakening. The first thing that we must do is blast through all of the lies that there is no one else in this universe except for those of us who live here as humans on this one tiny little planet. Guys, this was a very neat trick to keep us all enslaved and blaming each other for our plight. I mean, really, how quaint is that? How simple. And how foolish we were to believe that. So let me share a little story with you guys. The first time I began to realize the extent of this lie was back in the year 2000 when my family and I visited Roswell, New Mexico to get away from a huge wildfire in northern New Mexico where we lived at the time. Now, I really had no interest in the Roswell UFO crash. To be honest, I really still don't. And at the time, I thought that Roswell was mainly just a goofy tourist trap. And that feeling changed after a few days. Now, without sidetracking into another long story, after several days there, I had a very interesting experience. Roswell seems to be one of the only physical locations on Earth where the existence of extraterrestrials seems to be accepted on a broader, more social level. And it's real for many people. Now, Roswell is a tiny town, but by contrast, I was struck by a visceral sensation that there is a strong ceiling of energy around the rest of the planet that doesn't exist in this little town in the desert that's out in the middle of nowhere. I felt a distinct energetic opening above this town into the sky that I intuitively felt doesn't exist anywhere else in the mainstream world. And upon driving out of Roswell and back into the regular world, I could literally feel an energy ceiling on top of everything on this planet that does not allow us to experience our interdimensional extraterrestrial reality. I could feel it because I now had the contrast with Roswell where that ceiling doesn't exist. So that's when I first became experientially aware of the severity of the energetic repression around our planet that does not allow us to be a part of the rest of the universe. And I think that's probably why we don't really experience that we really are physically a part of the entire cosmos. See, we are actually in a lockdown in space, and we have been for thousands of years. So this lie that we are the only life form in the universe is not just in words, you guys. It actually has an invisible energetic form to it. It's like we are energetically cloaked from the truth. Are you guys following me so far? Do you see how this puts us into an experience of being in a totally hopeless situation? And then, to assuage our hopelessness, religions tell us not to worry because a savior is going to come and get us out of this mess. And the weird thing is, even though this has never happened, we still continue to believe it, which is another nifty trick to keep us submerged in our slavery and accepting it. It makes us sit very quietly and behave ourselves because we are always waiting for this mythical someone to come and fix it all. But you see, the big problem with this, you guys, is we thus lack motivation to evolve to the level that we must evolve at if this is ever going to change. I'm telling you guys, the tricks that have been used to trap us could take up an entire video all by itself, probably even multiple videos. Now, let me take you guys on a little journey of my recent revelations. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a very strange experience. I suddenly felt like I could see through this veil, or what almost looked like a previously invisible fog above and around our planet. I saw hordes of what looked like what I call dinosaur people, just shifting and moving around constantly above us. I mean, there were a lot of them, and they almost looked like they were clumped together in different ways. It was really weird looking. I couldn't make out any details, but I could see some vague color. There were some that were kind of a reddish sort of color and others that were darker colors. And there were also different types, different sizes, and even different species. So they definitely did not all look alike. But here's the really weird part. I instantly recognized that they were controlling our entire humanity. I could see them through like this fog, and it was like they just kept moving and shifting. It was really weird. And I didn't feel any fear. It was more like just complete and total amazement at what I was seeing. I mean, I couldn't believe I was actually aware of their existence, aware of their presence. But here's the thing that really blew me away. I was able to see with absolute clarity that we are being treated horribly by them. I mean, I kept saying to myself, my gosh, we are being treated worse than animals. I mean, it was totally clear that we are their slaves. It was almost like I had this transcendent perspective where I could see it from a whole different level of consciousness, and I could really take in what they're actually doing to us and how really bad it is. It was like having a window and being able to see what is really going on. Honestly, guys, it just totally blew my mind. Now, this window of being able to see this opened up to me, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 times over the course of maybe a few days or a week, something like that. And I would just look at them in amazement, and all I could say to myself was, they look like dinosaur people. And that was weird because I'd never heard anybody use that term before. But seriously, guys, that's what they looked like. But what really got me is the cruelty and the meanness with which they have us enslaved. I mean, that's what really got to me more than anything else. It was completely astonishing. And what was even more mind-blowing is the fact that we don't even realize it or even see this. Now, a couple of days ago, we went out to experience the little bit of pathetic freedom that we are currently being allowed here. You know, as they tell us that we're allowed to leave our homes in very limited ways. This is not freedom, guys. I mean, what I was seeing in people around was really what I would call induced mental illness. I mean, the fear and the bizarre terror that humans had for one another was just off the charts. I was really shaken by the experience. I mean, I felt like I was in another world. So yesterday I was in my office working, and all of a sudden something came to mind. I was thinking about this whole situation we find ourselves in, and suddenly the word draconian came to mind. And I said to myself, yeah, that's an exact descriptive word for our situation. And then all of a sudden, something just hit me like a ton of bricks. Something just stopped me in my tracks, and I put 2 words together: Draco and draconian. Now, in case you guys didn't know, there is a purported race of lizard-like extraterrestrials who are experts at extreme, and I mean extreme, mind control. And this race is referred to as the Dracos. See what I mean, guys? Draco, draconian, yikes. Now, guys, I've been aware of this for a little while, but I do not ever think about this stuff. But you know, something shifted yesterday. I think they're overplaying their hand. And I experienced a massive waking up. I see what they're doing, you guys, and all the little pieces are starting to fall into place. Now, it's all extremely complex, so I can't tell you what all those pieces are here today. And hey, it's probably better that I don't, because, you know, we don't really need to know every little detail. We just need to know certain very important pieces, because we have to evolve into our power and into a certain level of strength to even start thinking about this stuff. Seriously, guys, we do. So I want to suggest to you this: you start thinking of that necessary level of evolution as a process. See, we've been trained to want everything in like a 5-second snippet. Like, we got to have it now. We want all the answers right now. But I'm telling you, we don't need to know certain things unless we are prepared to come into our power, into our strength, and evolve to a level of presence that makes that knowing useful to us. And I think the only reason that I can even bring this up today is because clearly this awakening and this ascension energy is empowering us at a level where we can just begin to start to recognize what is actually going on. Now we need to be very, very conscious, and I don't want you guys to think you need to do anything about this or even think about it after this video. The thing is, you must remember that we have very powerful assistants in the universe. We have so much support. Our job is not to confront this stuff directly. Don't even try it, okay? But our role is to evolve to a level where we can co-create a new reality for ourselves in conjunction with those powerful beings of light and love, those angelic beings, those extraterrestrial counterparts that are here to assist us in our ascension and our evolution. So in a way, I actually think it's a positive sign that we can begin to start awakening to what we're actually dealing with. I think it's a positive sign because it means that we are growing in our strength and in our power. See, you guys need to think about the fact that all this stuff has been hidden from us, and these overlords, these entities, these extraterrestrial, I'll call them extraterrestrial overlords, they don't want us to know anything about what's going on. So why do you think that is? I mean, let's look at it this way. We are clearly talking about entities who cannot sustain themselves in this universe on their own power, who must secretly enslave an entire planet in order to get anything done, who obviously don't have power of their own. Therefore, they're using our power and our energy. So I ask you guys this. Who actually has the real power? And why do you think they don't want us to know what is really going on? Because once we fully understand what is actually going on, you guys, we might actually stop putting up with all of this slavery. We might actually be motivated to evolve to a level where we can take our power back. So let us be patient. Let us take this one step at a time. Let us be very mindful of our consciousness and our own awakening and evolution, because I'm sure we are going to be blown away when we know the full magnitude of the situation that we find ourselves in. Now, for now, I want to give you guys some very important advice. And this is really critical. So just stay with me for a couple more minutes. You know all these creatures or whatever they are that I've been talking to you guys about? Do not, under any circumstances, on any way at all, attempt to connect with them. Just forget about it, okay? Because we're not in any shape to do that right now. That is not the way that this should be handled. So don't even try it or think about it. Remember that we have very, very, very powerful allies in this universe who are supporting our awakening and our evolution. And as I told you before, we're not supposed to be doing this all by ourselves. So here's what our effort needs to be. We need to focus on accelerating our own evolution and our own awakening. So continue to meditate and stay very close to your heart. Always, always, always stay in a vibration of love and resolve to take excellent care of your health and your physical body. Keep your vibration very high. Practice staying grounded and centered as best you can. And this is how we can prepare ourselves, come into our power, and have the necessary strength to take the next step. Because there is so much more. And guys, we need to be in top condition on every single level. So please just focus on that for now. Don't worry about all this other stuff. This was really just to bring it to your attention, bring it into your awareness. It's certainly not to ask you to try and do anything about it. We're not ready for that yet. Just remember what I said. We have our allies. We have a lot of power, a lot of light. This is a big, big situation. It's a big universe. And it's so important, because we're a part of nature, to just remember what your part is and focus on that. Become really strong within yourself. And that's really all you have to think about at the moment. Now, I have a second piece of advice for you that is also very, very important. Please do not attempt to convince another person about what is going on who is clearly not ready to hear this. Because if you try to convince somebody that this is going on who's just not ready for this, you're risking sending them into a state of fear. And honestly, that's exactly what these creatures want. See, fear is their food, you guys. So let's not give them any more fear to service their energy needs, okay? So I ask you to protect your friends who are not ready for this right now, and just support them and encourage them to evolve from where they are right now. Don't give people more than they can handle. Be sensitive. Sometimes it's enough to just help people feel more positive by sharing your love and your own high vibrational positive energy. I mean, that alone can make a huge difference for someone. So remember to always be sensitive, be intuitive, and meet people where they actually are. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it useful. If so, give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone who you feel is ready for this information. And I will be back with so much more, along with more channeled messages from Archangel Michael and Telstar. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my future videos. And with that, I'm sending you guys so much love, light, and positive, empowering energy. Stay peaceful, my friends. Namaste.